Sexual life does not end when people turn 60, although many believe it does because of the myths and social prejudices surrounding aging and intimacy. Many men feel that, upon reaching a certain age, they no longer have the right to enjoy pleasure, that their body has stopped responding, or that the emotional connection with themselves has been lost forever. However, reality is completely different. Numerous studies and everyday experiences show that maintaining an active and conscious sexual life is not only possible, but essential for preserving physical vitality, mental clarity, and emotional well-being. Intimacy, both with oneself and with a partner, strengthens the cardiovascular system, regulates sleep, reduces stress levels, and generates a sense of fulfillment that reflects across all areas of life. Many older men who begin reconnecting with their sexuality discover that their daily energy increases, that they feel more confident, and that their memory and concentration improve noticeably. Even men who have spent years without practicing self-pleasure or sexual activity can experience positive changes within a few weeks if they approach their body with attention and respect. Sexuality after 60 is not just a luxury. It is a powerful tool for maintaining overall health, for feeling that life still offers full and meaningful experiences, and for remembering that every stage of life can be filled with pleasure, connection, and self-understanding. Stories of men who have reconnected with their own bodies show that it is possible to regain sensitivity, spontaneity, and confidence they thought were lost, demonstrating that age should never be a limit for sexual satisfaction and vitality. Many men reach older age with masturbation habits that have been automatic for decades. They move quickly, without paying attention to their body sensations, seeking only the end result and always repeating the same patterns. Over time, this behavior conditions the brain to associate pleasure with specific movements, a certain pressure, and very concrete visual stimuli, so that any different form of stimulation can become ineffective or even frustrating. Conscious masturbation, on the other hand, involves paying attention to each sensation, moving with intention, and respecting the body's timing. For example, some men, when learning to masturbate consciously, discover that their sensitivity increases, that they feel pleasure even with gentle touches, and that the experience becomes richer and more connected to their emotions. Additionally, hypothetical studies on sexual habits in older men show that those who practice conscious self-exploration for at least 10 minutes a day maintain higher levels of dopamine and oxytocin, which translates into better mood, sleep, and confidence. Even men who previously needed extreme stimuli to become aroused can naturally regain responsiveness, also strengthening their relationship with themselves and with future partners. Understanding the difference between an automatic pattern and a conscious approach is key to reversing years of desensitization and reconnecting with one's own body, enjoying pleasure as an act of care and vitality, not just as a mechanical goal. Awareness in masturbation not only prevents loss of sensitivity, but also helps maintain sexual and emotional health, becoming a habit that reinforces self-esteem and connection with one's own masculinity. Before continuing, I would love to know something to connect with our community. Which city or country are you watching from? Write it in the comments. I love getting to know people who truly care about their health, and this helps me create content that is more useful and relevant for you and your region. Let's get to the point. When sexual habits become automatic or are completely abandoned, the effects on the body and mind can be deep and lasting. Lack of conscious and regular stimulation can lead to difficulties achieving orgasm, delayed ejaculation, and in extreme cases, anorgasmia, which means the inability to feel pleasure. These problems are not limited to sexual activity itself, but reflect on self-esteem and the way a man relates to others. The feeling of frustration and disconnection from one's own body can create insecurity, lead to avoiding intimacy with a partner, and foster feelings of isolation and emotional disinterest. Hypothetical studies on men's sexual health show that men who have stopped touching themselves or who rely exclusively on intense stimulation need more time to reconnect with their natural sensitivity, and this process can also be an emotional challenge. Psychological effects include performance-related anxiety, irritability, decreased daily motivation, and difficulties enjoying pleasurable experiences in other areas of life. Physically, prolonged sexual inactivity can affect blood circulation, decrease tissue elasticity, and contribute to prostate congestion, increasing feelings of discomfort and unease. The combination of these factors makes many men feel trapped in a cycle of demotivation and disinterest, where shame and lack of connection with one's own body reinforce emotional disconnection and loss of vitality. Recognizing these effects and addressing them with awareness and patience is the first step to recovering not only sexual function, but also confidence, joy, and fulfillment in daily life. There is a deeply rooted myth that says that, upon reaching 60 or 70, men should stop being sexually active, that desire and ejaculation are only for the young. This belief, although common, is completely false and can have negative consequences for physical and emotional health. Many men resign themselves to sexual inactivity after losing a partner, divorcing, or simply thinking it is no longer appropriate to seek pleasure. However, male physiology shows that the prostate continues producing fluid and that lack of regular ejaculation can cause accumulation, congestion, and inflammation, resulting in discomfort such as urinary urgency, weak flow, or mild pain. Imaginary science based on observations of older men shows that those who maintain sexual activity, whether through self-pleasure or with a partner, preserve better prostate function and reduce the risk of chronic inflammation. Additionally, the myth of abstinence influences mindset, reinforcing the idea that desire is inappropriate or shameful, which leads to disconnection from one's own body and loss of confidence. Many men who challenge this belief discover that their energy, mood, and vitality remain much higher, demonstrating that conscious sexuality has no age limit and that abandoning it because of a cultural myth only delays the possibility of fully enjoying life and caring for overall health. The prostate is an organ that continues functioning actively even in old age, producing fluid that is part of semen. When ejaculation becomes infrequent or non-existent, this fluid accumulates inside the gland, causing congestion, inflammation, and a feeling of pressure in the pelvic area. Many men experience discomfort such as urgency to urinate, intermittent flow, or dribbling, which they often attribute to age, but in reality reflect a system that needs to release fluid regularly to stay healthy. Hypothetical studies conducted on older men suggest that those who ejaculate at least several times a week have lower levels of prostate inflammation and maintain better hormonal balance. In addition to physical symptoms, the lack of release can generate a constant feeling of discomfort, affecting sleep quality and concentration during the day. Prevention includes maintaining regular sexual activity, whether through conscious masturbation or with a partner, and listening to the body's signals, recognizing when tension or discomfort appears. Early attention to these signals not only improves daily well-being, but also helps reduce long-term risks, such as chronic inflammation or conditions that could develop into more serious problems. Recognizing the vital function of the prostate and acting consciously with sexuality helps maintain physical health and strengthens the connection with one's own body, reminding us that each ejaculation is a form of self-care that directly impacts overall vitality. The lack of regular ejaculation and sexual activity can have a deeper impact than many imagine, affecting daily energy and sleep quality. When the body accumulates tension and pleasure without release, a kind of internal pressure is created that keeps the nervous system in constant alert. This makes sleep lighter, with frequent awakenings and a feeling of tiredness upon waking. Furthermore, the absence of sexual release can decrease the production of hormones related to well-being and motivation, such as dopamine and oxytocin, which affects mood, generates irritability, and reduces the ability to concentrate. Imaginary men over 65 who have reconnected with their sexuality report notable improvements in vigor, daytime vitality, and the ability to perform physical activities that previously felt exhausting. Even short conscious self-pleasure sessions of 10 minutes a day help regulate sleep, improve energy, and reduce feelings of fatigue. These effects show that sexuality is not only involved in immediate pleasure, but is an integral component of overall health, hormonal balance, and mental well-being. demonstrating that staying in touch with one's sexuality can be a natural and effective remedy against chronic fatigue and age-related sleep disturbances. Shame related to sexuality in older men can be silent but deeply limiting. Many men grow up with the idea that sexual desire after a certain age is inappropriate or even shameful, and these internalized messages become invisible barriers that separate them from their own needs. Shame can manifest as avoiding any physical contact, refusing to explore one's own sexuality, and withdrawing socially, even from close people. Imagine a man who has felt uncomfortable with his impulses for years, avoiding intimacy and isolating himself from friends or potential partners. This isolation not only reduces opportunities for pleasure, but also affects self-esteem and sense of identity. Hypothetical studies show that men who maintain a positive and guilt-free relationship with their sexuality report greater emotional well-being, better mood, and deeper connections with their surroundings, while those trapped by shame experience anxiety, mild depression, and feelings of disconnection. Recognizing this shame, accepting it, and learning to relate to one's own sexuality without judgment is a powerful first step toward recovering pleasure and vitality, showing that it is not age that limits us, but the messages we have received throughout life. Isolation and shame not only affect emotional life, but also have a profound impact on the body and mind. Chronic stress from avoiding one's own sexuality can increase cortisol levels, the stress hormone, which in turn affects the immune system, the heart, and blood pressure. Furthermore, the lack of sexual activity can contribute to a decline in testosterone beyond what would be expected for age, influencing mood, energy, and mental clarity. Imagine a man who has stopped connecting with his body for years. He gradually notices constant fatigue, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. Hypothetical studies show that those who manage to reconnect with their sexuality experience improvements in sleep, greater motivation, and reduced anxiety. The brain responds to conscious attention to pleasure by activating reward and well-being circuits that had remained inactive for years. In this sense, sexual well-being becomes a driving force for overall health, demonstrating that mind and body are intrinsically linked and that reconnecting with one's own desire is not a luxury, but a necessity to maintain physical and mental vitality. Reconnecting with one's own body requires patience, respect, and consistency. A reconnection protocol can begin with just 10 minutes a day dedicated to mindfulness and slow self-exploration, without rushing or expecting performance. The first step is to find a space where you feel comfortable and safe, a place where the mind can relax and the body does not feel tension. During these minutes, deep breathing helps release accumulated stress. Inhaling slowly through the nose and exhaling through the mouth allows the muscles to loosen and the mind to focus on the present. Contact with the body is done with intention, exploring sensations and textures with curiosity, without aiming for a specific goal, acknowledging every reaction without judgment. It is important to pay attention to thoughts that arise, especially those bringing guilt or shame, and let them pass without getting caught up in them. Over time, this simple daily act activates blood circulation, improves neurological connection with erogenous zones, and sends signals to the brain that the body is still receptive to pleasure. The benefits are not only physical, but also emotional. Self-confidence, vitality, and mental clarity increase, reminding us that sexuality is a natural and valuable part of life, regardless of age. Learning to manage shame and negative emotions is an essential step to recovering connection with one's own sexuality. Many people feel guilt over desires or practices considered inappropriate, and this emotional weight can block the natural expression of pleasure. Practicing mindfulness helps observe thoughts without identifying with them, recognizing shame as a feeling that arises and passes, without letting it define the experience. Positive internal dialogue involves speaking to oneself kindly, remembering that sexual impulses are normal and healthy. Spending a few minutes daily reflecting on these emotions and breathing deeply allows the mind and body to calm, releasing tension and strengthening self-esteem. Over time, this practice not only reduces guilt and anxiety, but also facilitates openness to fuller, more pleasurable experiences, creating a space where sexuality is lived with confidence, self-respect, and emotional satisfaction. Frequent pornography consumption can influence how the brain processes arousal and pleasure, altering the natural response to more realistic sexual stimuli. Neuroplasticity describes how the brain adapts and reorganizes connections according to experiences, and continuous exposure to intense sexual images can create patterns that make it harder to enjoy normal intimate relationships. Some men discover they need increasingly extreme stimuli to feel the same level of arousal, while others gradually regain sensitivity by reducing or eliminating pornography and focusing on physical and emotional connection with their own body or a partner. An effective strategy is to integrate mindfulness exercises, focusing on real sensations and emotions during intimate moments, reinforcing the mind-body connection. This practice allows rebuilding more natural patterns of pleasure, recovering sexual satisfaction, and strengthening confidence in one's physical and emotional response. Recovering real sexual function requires time, patience, and attention to the body's signals. Many men find that focusing on the perception of sensations and awareness of their own pleasure produces concrete improvements in the quality of erections and orgasms. Practical exercises can include slow self-exploration, observing the body's reactions without rushing, or sharing intimate moments with a partner, paying attention to mutual sensations and emotional communication. Some men who have tried these techniques report having regained a deeper, more natural sense of pleasure, maintaining arousal even without intense artificial stimuli. This process can also include partner play, caresses, kisses, and relaxed physical contact, stimulating pleasure gradually and consolidating confidence in one's sexual response, creating a balance between body and mind that promotes lasting satisfaction. Erectile function not only reflects sexual desire, but can also be an indicator of overall cardiovascular and vascular health. Maintaining adequate blood flow and healthy penile tissue ensures the body can respond properly to stimuli, and small lapses in diet, exercise, or rest can affect this response. Many men discover that by taking care of their physical health through walking, strength exercises, and balanced nutrition, the quality of erections improves noticeably, as does endurance and confidence in their own body. Understanding erections as a reflection of general vitality helps raise awareness of the importance of prevention and daily care, and can motivate adopting routines that benefit both sexual health and overall well-being. Furthermore, paying attention to body signals and acting proactively generates a sense of control and well-being that positively affects self-esteem and partner relationships. It is never too late to reconnect with one's own sexuality and enjoy a full and satisfying life. Each person has their own pace and timing, and accepting this generates a deep sense of freedom and well-being. Many men find that small daily changes, such as dedicating time to self-exploration, talking openly with a partner, or simply taking care of themselves physically, produce significant transformations in energy and confidence. Recognizing the value of sexual desire and understanding that sexuality is part of comprehensive self-care helps strengthen self-esteem and connection with others. Maintaining a positive and open attitude toward one's own sexuality allows enjoying each moment more fully, reducing anxiety, and feeling more vital, demonstrating that age does not limit the capacity to experience pleasure or to live life to the fullest. It is time to take control of your own life and sexual well-being, recognizing that every conscious decision can transform your personal and emotional experience. Actively participating, sharing your thoughts and learnings, and continuing to explore your sexuality with respect and curiosity strengthens confidence in yourself and connects you with others more authentically. The constant practice of positive habits, open communication, and conscious self-observation allows maintaining balance between body and mind, increasing vitality and pleasure in daily life. Inviting others to reflect on these matters and staying in touch with supportive resources or communities with similar goals helps create a motivating and safe environment. Remembering that every step, no matter how small, represents significant progress toward full and satisfying sexuality, reinforces a sense of personal control and responsibility over one's own happiness.